Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Cinema Hall, and we are back with yet again Malayalam film because the demand of Malayalam film podcasts is so high. We the last four videos were not about Malayalam films, and people started writing in the comments in the community section that do this new film Kaanekkaane that has come out on Sony Live, which I hadn't seen actually, but Farhad had seen, so he also recommended it to me. So I thought, okay, let's do it. So I watched it today, and finally we are here making a podcast for you guys to discuss how we like the film and to talk about it. I've got Farhad as always. I don't think he has really missed any of my podcasts so far. Farhad, welcome back, and you watched it. I think last week when it came. So, did you know about this film beforehand, and were you looking forward to it? Because I think Suraj Venjaramoodu is a brilliant actor. We have seen him in Great Indian Kitchen. We have seen him in that
Driving
other
license.
film. I think if you, I don't know how to pronounce the name correctly, but that Fahad Fasil film where he plays a
Thod-
thief.
Thodimal something.
Tondi Mudalam Drikshasyam, something like that.
Yeah,
Were you looking forward to his performance in this film?
yeah. So Keshav, so because I do write reviews for my website, so that's why I keep an eye on whether there is anything new that is coming out each week. And I had come to know about this movie specifically because Manu Ashokan, who has directed this film, had earlier directed URA,
Okay.
which had Parvati in it. It was a story on that acid victim in
Hmm.
that genre, similar to Chapak, but it was much better than Chapak.
Okay.
So that was the single, attraction for this movie. You can see, yes, there was Suraj Venjaramoodu as well, and Tovino Thomas, and Aishwarya Lakshmi as well. So Tovino and Aishwarya Lakshmi, they were there earlier in Mahanadi,
Okay.
which was directed by Ashik Abu. So that is the same pair that is there in this movie. So there's a lot of attractions. So I have written my review for the film. You can leave it in the description link. So Kane Kane, firstly, I didn't know what to expect from the movie because I hadn't watched the. Even if you would have, I went back and had watched the trailer after I finished the movie, and they hadn't revealed much.
Yeah.
You wouldn't understand. Probably it would be like a thriller,
Hmm.
but you wouldn't understand what is going on, what is the context behind that. So it is a very complex film. Uh, Actually, from the surface, if you look, it's a very simple film. As I was saying, that there were many complex emotions in place, and the deeper you dwell into them, the more
Yeah.
tastier they get. You can say it was very textured drama. So that was stunning to watch. It was measured as well. It wasn't over the top. It was very measured, and I think it's. I mean, I am speechless by Malayalam films. Really, uh,
I
I mean,
I had thought that I'll open this video with yet another such kind of a one-liner that Malayalam cinema blows away once again, mind-blowing, intriguing, and running out of adjectives. But even those one-liners are becoming old now. I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah,
we are not just running out of adjectives for praising the films, but we are also running out of the ways to tell those things. And I mean, so many of these films don't even have any huge stars, and still that shows the content is the king. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's coming on any platform. I mean, we have seen most of them on Amazon, but Sony Live and even Nayato was on Netflix. So everywhere Malayalam films are doing so well, and every subject that they get into, it's a different subject every time, and the way they handle it, the way they execute it, uh, so refreshing. I mean, this film as well, the way it started, you wouldn't have uh, understood in the first few minutes that this is going to be like a psychological thriller, and you know how they tapped into the human emotion, the guilt, which is a very not. I mean, it's an interesting and a very tricky human emotion to tap into because uh, you they have played so well on the conscience part of human behavior. You know how your conscience and karma can actually come back to bite you in the back later on when you catch up. So as we spoke about the characters, you took all the names as well, but I mean, performances apart, what did you think of the fact that how Suraj played an old man with so much of effortlessness, because this was the same guy just with black color facial hair and hair
Yeah.
on top in the Great Indian Kitchen, and now the same guy with a different body language and gray hair actually convinces you that he is in his late 50s or 60s or something like that.
Yeah, with his body language as well. So, just one liner on the story as well. I just feel that normally when we watch any film, there is one main story to it, which you can call it as text, and there is our underlining currents like a subtext. Here, there were two texts that were going on. One that was this investigative drama that was going on as to what really had happened with the character of the daughter of Suraj,
Yeah.
and one was the character of Suraj itself, which was brooding and dwelling, and still, had that scars of uh, his daughter not being there around him, basically. And I wouldn't want to give too many spoilers, but this was another text within a text that was there. And the third angle, you can say, was the character of Tovino Thomas, Alan, I think his name was, what it was, how he had reacted to that, basically, and what was his thinking. Was he a bad man? Was it a conspiracy? And there were so many things, and all the emotions that were there, they were so subtle and so measured. It was not completely. It was a balanced act, basically. It was not uh, propaganda driven or taking sides. Coming back to Suraj's character, yes, I mean, he's such a brilliant actor. I mean, I recently watched Driving License as well. I think we are going to be joining you, spoilers, on your podcast as well, discussing that movie. But I mean, he's such an outstanding actor. I mean, uh, any adjectives would be short of the caliber and the towering performance that he's probably given. I mean, there's so many nuances. I mean, so many emotions. It could have, if this was not a skilled actor,
Mm.
if he was not a skilled actor, this would probably have been a very drab and a very uh, not so interesting role. It should have been like, oh my god, what is happening? Why
Yeah,
is he? But because the his expressions and subtle nuances that were there in his character, and he had caught latched onto them, that is what it made like a brilliant performance by Suraj.
yeah. I mean, it was such a thin line because if he would have overacted, it could have gone the other way around. If he would have underplayed it subtly, it would have not looked as convincing. So kudos to him because and this comes with experience. Years of experience and having done so much of good work with good directors as well. So kudos to him and also the director. What was the name?
Oh,
Ashok,
Manu Ashokan.
Manu Ashok,
Manu Ashokan.
and the writers Bobby and Sanjay. I think they collaborated on their first film as well. So now I had a couple of problems with the film as well, but first of all, I thought that when it was going from current to flashback, when it was panning from one timeline to other. The parallel screenplay, I mean, it was a little confusing because you wouldn't know when it's going back. So you would need a couple of seconds to realize actually, because there was no difference in the color tones there. There was no difference in, probably the way everything was treated. It just felt like a switch so quickly that you wouldn't notice that, they have gone back into the flashback. So that is one complaint that I had from the film. Probably, they could have edited that part a little better. What did you think about that? Did you agree with this?
Yeah, I did. I must admit, though I wouldn't call it a flaw. I mean, it was more like a challenge to the audience as to whether you can, are you with the drama? Can you stay? But yeah, I agree to your point that yeah, it did take some amount of concentration while watching the film. Because there was no giveaway as to whether this is the past or the future or the current present time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the characters that you had to keep an eye on, like who is the daughter's character in that scene.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
if the doctor is not there, then of course you because it's, see, the jumps are just like a couple of years apart. So
yeah.
looks wise, there will be not a lot different from both the ways. So that way, if the daughter is not there, then you have to really focus. Okay, what's going on? And the other complaint which I thought was, do you think that they probably in the second half, in the beginning of actually second half, they revealed that one very important twist a little too early in the film, because I was expecting it to be revealed a little too, like, I mean, little later on. So I felt they gave it away a bit too early, and then you have to then think, okay, they have already revealed it. What are they going to show next for the next 1 hour?
um I don't think this. So this is, I think that it's up to the audience's perspective whether they are anticipating an investigative drama or they are focusing on the psychological, the angle that is there. I was also surprised. I would be lying if I say that
No, surprise factor was there. I mean, when the revelation happened, the surprise factor, just the timing, for me, it came a little too
yeah,
early.
yeah. So timing as well. I was referring to that. I was surprised that why was it so revealed so early. But I mean, this was not out and out an investigative drama as well. So I think that is one point that the audience also needs to keep in mind, that this is more of a drama. See, it's difficult to even say it in a one single line because it is so complex. It is simple as well as complex when you look deeper down. It is more about the equations between the characters and the relationships and what nothing is what it exactly seems to be.
Yeah, yeah.
More on that line. It is. I don't think it is an entire investigation that was revealed early on in the second half. You can look at it either way, to be honest. I mean, yeah, you could have taken it a little ahead as well and revealed it at the end as well as to what exactly had happened, with
Yeah.
a parallel of.
I mean,
I get to what you're saying as well. I don't disagree what you're saying.
one
I
silver
tend to.
lining with that also is then it leaves the audience guessing, okay, now they've revealed it, so what's coming in the rest of the film now? So that's also, in one way, that is the positive way of looking at it. And I thought, just like how for the main characters it was a test of their conscience, and everyone had that guilt buried deep down somewhere, so it was a test. So I think for audience as well, as a watcher, it's a test for you as well, to how you judge those characters. I mean, for us, it's like how you judge Alan. Did he do it I mean, did he do it intentionally, or did he not? And then how do you judge Paul? Because the decision that he has to make at the end of the film, it could have gone either way. Then as an audience, how do you judge him? Then Sneha, of course, how do you judge her? Because she knew that this guy was married. She knew that this is a guy with a family, and still, I mean, yes, they didn't have anything to do with eventually what happened the first wife, but yet, I mean, still, they had some conscience they wanted to get cleared out of. So I think it's a good test for audience as well, because it depends on what kind of human being you are yourself. To as That's how you will judge the characters as well. So were you? I mean, I am always intrigued to find these sort of human insights in films, which test yourself as well when you analyze it. So, did you enjoy, as not just from the film point of view, but also from human behavior point of view?
Yeah, so it just shows how flawed as humans we actually are, you know. And we will, and there's something called a hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, you know, that what could have been. That is also one angle. But when you're in on the spot, you know, when you actually have to make a decision, that is when that your th- I mean, I wouldn't say your nature or anything, but your that is when that split second that you have to take a decision is when you have your character comes out basically, and it and your character might change as well. It's not that your character will stay constant as we normally see in uh, many films. You know that the character is same. You know, if he's a villain, he's a villain. He's a hero, he's a hero. But here it was just a split second, so to say, a decision that was there, which is flawed. And again, another way to look at it is that the other person might expect a response which you hadn't given,
Yeah,
but if you that person was in a similar situation, you don't know how he would react as well. So this is you know, it was almost like the writer and the director, they were teasing the audience,
yeah,
like if they were in that situation, what would they do? Would they go for option A or would they go for option B? And there were two perspectives very clearly that were laid out, one right at the end and one at
yeah.
the beginning of the
I
second
think
half.
one good example is like how Sneha's real father goes to Paul, and
Hmm.
he tells ki, please don't involve my daughter in this, and just leave her out of this. So at that moment he doesn't want Paul to do anything with his daughter's life, but at the end of the film it's actually Paul who saves his daughter's life, and he has all the respect
Yeah.
for Paul, and he hugs him as well. So I mean, if it's a test of characters for the people in the film, in that fictional world, it's a test of character for the audience as well, how they will at the end of the day judge Paul for what he did, because at the he was also like fighting a fight because he lost his daughter, so he was in his right to do whatever he was doing actually.
And he
uh,
was also influencing the child that, you
yeah,
know, the
absolutely.
granddaughter that he had, you know, that he was also poisoning her mind in one way. It's
Yeah, I
very
mean,
interesting also.
I really loved the child's performance as well.
Yeah.
Very natural, and I was kind of hoping that Paul will not end up with such a behavior from the child. It somewhere reminded me of how helpless. If you remember hashtag home, how helpless the father felt there. So when that child actually runs away from Paul, I felt that helplessness in him, on his face, and so I was kind of hoping that maybe if they're going towards a happy ending, maybe the child will go with Paul at the end of the day. But that was too Bollywood, right? It's the
I
Hollywood
know.
speaking within us. And okay, people who have watched Breaking Bad here, especially, I would love to point out that the scene where Paul has to decide whether to save Sneha at that moment or not, when it's a test of his conscience, and that particular moment of decision making, that reminded me of that scene in Breaking Bad where Walter White has to decide whether he should just let uh, that particular character die, or whether he should actually save her. But there he actually lets her die, and it's a very very disturbing scene, and he breaks down as well because of the guilt. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's the decision you make in that split second that really tests your character and conscience, and that is what this film is all about. This is based on that that split second, and it has come
Yeah.
a couple of times in the film, which defines the film in first half and second half. It's a I mean, whether it's Alan when he had to decide whether to okay, I will not I will not say that. So yeah, so I think all in all, another
I think
brilliant Malayalam. Yeah.
I just had to say one word about the cinematography.
Hmm.
That adds another layer to the drama, totally another layer. If you see the close shots that they have given to the character of Paul, which is played by Suraj, the close shots, it just shows that the cerebral vibe. It just gives that cerebral vibe to that character, and it just gives a glimpse to the audience of what he's thinking. Is he
Hmm.
you know is he and most of the times he's conflicted. He doesn't want to uh, make it like a revenge thing. At the same time, he doesn't want to forgive as well, so it's like a very conflicting emotion. That camera work, I'm it's just brilliant. This is something that has stayed with me as well. It's been almost a week since I'd watched the film, but I mean, the camera work was excellent here, and
Yes.
even the editing, by the way.
Yeah, editing wise, I just felt that flashback, the difference was the only flaw which I've found. But otherwise, I mean, most of the departments, these technical things, Malayalam cinema is usually spot on, and they have the best guys heading those departments. So yeah, even music, I felt a couple of places background score was not needed, or it was a little too louder than it should have been. It was a bit of spoon feeding because Malayalam cinema watchers are now so mature and grown up enough that you shouldn't be needing background score to spoon feed them. Okay, now this is going to
I
happen.
think I think that the backgrounds can. This is something that I felt, and I was watching also the review by Bharadwaj Ranjan on Film Companion South, and he had also said the same thing, that here the background music that was there, it was probably little deliberately loud. Reason being that the yeah, you could also say that it was in a way spoon feeding. Like, this
Why?
was a twist that the audience was anticipating, but it doesn't really come through.
Okay.
It's subtle. The screenplay is subtle, but probably to uh, ho- supposed to just make the audience a little anxious, or to just command their attention at that point of time. Probably the director wanted, or the makers wanted, the audience to remember this moment. Probably that's why it was probably loud. But yeah, I get your point as well, that yeah, it I also felt the same, that it was loud, but I am not sure whether it was deliberate or not.
Um, and apart from loud, I think the quality of background score that we have heard in recent films,
Yeah, yeah,
be it
agree.
Malayalam or Tamil or even Bollywood, when Mimi came and Revansa did the score, apart from being subtle and to understand, I mean, I'm talking now as a musician, not as a movie reviewer. That first of all, you have to be more than knowing where to put music. It's more important to know where not to put music, and even when you're putting it again, the choice between being subtle and being loud, that is not just the music director's call, but the film director's call as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, even if it's loud, no, that difference in quality was also a little bit noticeable here. I felt that the quality that we had in other departments, it lagged somewhere in background score. Um, but yeah, I mean, nothing is perfect, so let's hope that people who are watching, they will agree to us. Even if you don't, that's fine, completely fine. So write in the comments below, how did you find Kaanekkaane, and what you want us to watch next and review next. I had done a poll actually, so people are really wanting us to do that time machine episode of driving license, and the other one,
Ayappanam question.
yes,
Ayappanam question.
yes, that one. So probably we'll be coming with that one finally on this weekend. So So yeah, fingers crossed for that as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you have. If you're new here, then please press the subscribe button and bell icon. If you are a returning subscriber, then thank you for support, and thank you for all the love and appreciation so far. And thank you Farad for your time as well. So see you guys
Pleasure.
later. Bye bye.